These are the notes that accompany the very first part of our chapter 11. So we know that we've been graphing things in 2 dimensions, so that's our XY axes. We're now going to kind of branch out and go to the 3D system. So we're going to be using an X, Y, and Z axes. So one thing to note is that in 3 dimensions, the Z axis is perpendicular to the XY plane at 0, 0. So it's going to look like the XY axis is kind of like swiveled around, and our Z axis is now going to look like it's the vertical axis, which you can see over to the right hand side here. And then locating points in 3 dimensions. So we've got some review here of what it means to plot a single number on a number line. So that's 1 dimensions. Plot a ordered pair or an XY point on a 2-dimensional system, so the coordinate plane. What we're going to be dealing with here is the ordered triple on the bottom. So we're going to be getting 3 numbers X, Y, and Z, and these are going to be called an ordered triple instead of an ordered pair. Triple because we have 3 of them. And then we're going to practice being able to graph this. So we'll do a quick little review here on actually what's happening. So when you want to graph an ordered triple, it's going to be a lot like graphing a point in the coordinate plane. You're going to move in the X direction first. So if we take a look at the X axis, the axis that I only graph are the positive axes. So this axis here that you see as X, this is our positive X axis. So we're going to start from the origin, 0, 0, 0, and we're going to move 2 units. I know it's 2 units because the point has a 2 for the X. So I'm going to move 2 units in the X direction. So there's 1 and then 2. So that is my first location. So I wouldn't plot that point just yet because I still need to do the rest of the ordered triple. So now the next part that I'm going to be moving on to is the Y. The Y is 3. Again, just like the X, the Y that you see here is the positive Y axis. So from the end of the X movement, I'm now going to pick up and I am going to move 3 in the positive Y direction. You're basically going to be running parallel to the axis. So I'll be moving 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's where I'm at now after doing the X and the Y. Now we still need to do the Z to finish this off. So we take a look back at the triple. And it looks like we need to go 1 in the positive Z direction. So the positive Z direction is going to be up. So at the end of the blue, so the X, we then applied the Y in the Y direction. Now we're going to apply from the end in the Z direction. We want to move 1 in the Z direction, which is going to be moving us up. This final location, that's where the point 2, 3, 1 is located. And this is how we're going to be graphing. We're going to be doing some practice on this. So if we move on to the bottom half of this page, you'll see we're supposed to be plotting these ordered triples. So we need to plot the point positive 3 in the X direction. Then after plotting 3, we're going to go 4 in the positive Y direction. And then we're going to go 2 in the positive Z direction. So one of the things that can be a little challenging here, just like when you are doing the coordinate plane, is you have a big sheet of graph paper. Where are you going to put your axes? So we have the same situation here. So I want to make sure that I have enough space in the positive X direction and then enough space in the positive Y direction and enough space in the positive Z direction to get my ordered triple on the graph here. I highly recommend drawing your axes with pencils first, because if for some reason you need a little bit more space, you're going to have to erase and kind of move it around a little bit. So I always start with the Z axis. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to move down just a little bit. Then once you have the Z axis in, then you're going to branch off for the positive X and then branch off for the positive Y. Let's go ahead and label these axes for us. Again, I'm only stating the positive X, positive Y, positive Z. And we're going to be plotting some negative here in just a minute, so you'll see what we're going to be doing. All right, so Let's start out with the 3 in the positive x direction. So start at the origin. We're going to go 3, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, right there gets me to the end of the x direction. All right, now we're going to go positive 4 in the y direction. Remember, you're going to run parallel or in the same direction as the y-axis. So we're going to go 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And all I'm really plotting or graphing here is my movement, so you can see how we're getting to our end result. Now we need to go 2 in the positive z direction. Well, positive z is up. So from here we're going to go up 1, 2. Once we're done, and we've done all of x, y, and z, this is our point. So all of the other blue, orange, and green is like how I'm moving my pencil to actually plot the location. So there's our ordered triple right there. So that is 3, 4, 2. Okay, let's do it again. All right, this one, again, I'm going to make sure that you know where you want to put your axes at. So let's see, I need to go to negative x direction. All right, so there's a -1. So I think I want to kind of put my axes maybe off to the left a little bit, and then can always erase it if it doesn't work out, and then just restart. So putting in my x, my y, and my z. Again, the only ones that I have here are the positive axes. And that's just a personal preference. Okay, so let's do the x part first. All right, so we're going to start at the origin. But to go in the negative x direction, I am going to go in the opposite direction of what I have drawn for my x-axis. So instead of going like down to the right, it looks like or down to the left, I'm going up to the right. So that's basically what I'm doing here. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to go 2. So 1, 2. All right. Notice I'm right along that x direction. All right, now let's do the y. So that's a positive 3. So in the direction of the actual axis here. So positive 3 would be this direction. But just so we're clear, the negative y would be, again, running parallel, but going in the opposite direction of what you have. So we need to go positive 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's after doing the y. Then we need to deal with the z. Well, the z is 0, so we're not going anywhere. So for the z, we're just going to stay put, which means we're now done. That's the actual location of our point. So this is going to be -2, 3, 0. Okay, so part of today's lesson is, can we plot the ordered triples? The other part of this lesson is, can we actually create a plane in the three-dimensional space? So now we're going to move on to the next page of the notes. The easiest way to graph a plane in 3 dimensions is to actually use the intercepts. So we're going to use the intercepts to draw the trace lines. Again, a reminder to calculate the intercepts, let 2 of the variables equal 0, and then we'll solve for the remaining variable to determine the corresponding intercept. And there's an example here, but I want to go ahead and work one out for us too. And then this looks a little weird and kind of tricky on the XYZ plane. So I took a couple snapshots so you can actually see it on Desmos and what it really looks like and how those intercepts actually help us. So let's actually do some examples here. All right, so we've got C. So this is the next one in your notes, next example in your notes, where you're supposed to be able to find the actual plane in 3 dimensions. So we're gonna do intercepts. So if I want to find the X-intercept, I'm gonna plug 0 in for everybody except X. So you'll notice that the other variables just completely disappear. Ends up that we get x equals 3. Okay, let's write a triple for that. So we got 3 for x, but we plugged in zeros for both y and z. Okay, y-intercept. And then we'll get our graph set up here in just a second. We're going to do the exact same thing, except now, got to plug a 0 in for x. Plug a 0 in for everybody except y. Notice everybody disappears. We just get y equals 6. So write that as a triple. We got zeros for x and z. We got a 6 for y. And then to find the z-intercept, we're going to do the exact same thing. So plug in a 0 for x, plug in a 0 for y, leave z alone. Notice we get negative z equals 6. That means z is equal to negative 6. Okay, write it as an ordered triple. What we're going to do, and this is why we practiced graphing on the last one, is we want to plot all 3 of those points. And then we're going to use, or those triples, then we're going to use those triples, kind of connect them. It's going to look kind of like a triangle, but it is where the plane is actually coming through and hitting the x, y, and z axes. All right, so we got to get our x, y, z on here. Let's see. I think I'm going to put it over here. Let's see if that gives me enough room. And then again, we can always move it if we need to. And again, I'm only identifying the positive x, positive y, and positive z. You will see in some other, like if you take a look online or somebody's graphing something, you'll see that they do positive x and negative x, positive y and negative y, positive z and negative z. I find it overwhelming on the picture, which is why I don't do all of that. So I'm going to plot 3. So start at the origin. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That's going to be my ending point right there. Now I don't want the movements in there, so I think I'm just going to do 3. So there's my 3, 0, 0. Okay, now I need to do 0. So 0 in the x direction, which means I'm only going to be on the axes at this point. So if I have a y-intercept of 6 or 0, 6, 0, I'm just going to go on the y-axis positive out to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good, it fits. 6. And then the last one I need to do, again, only on the axes, is that I need to go to negative 6 in the z direction. All right, so the axis that I have that looks like it's pointing up, that's positive z, which means for negative z, I need to go straight down, straight from the origin. So I'll go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good, it fits. So I'm down here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect those dots. And I know it doesn't really look a whole heck of a lot like much, but if we went through, we actually graphed this, we would see that this is a plane that comes through and intersects the axes at all of those locations. So let's actually see what that looks like. So here now you can see I've got my visual of the plane coming through. So I have this triangular space that we created. But if you take a look at this, it's a snapshot from Desmos 3D plotter. You can see the exact same X-intercept. So it's the red dot there. You can see the exact same X. You can see the exact same Y. And you can see the Z. I think maybe that's a better visual though of like, okay, well, it just looked like a triangle. Well, not really. It's actually just a section of the plane itself. Okay, we have one more of these. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. And actually, based off of this, you might want to try doing it yourself. So maybe pause the video, see if you can find the intercepts yourself, and then see if you can plot the points. And then come back and check. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start working through this. So if I want to find my X-intercept, and I know everybody else is going to disappear. The only thing that's left is the X and whatever's on the other side. So I'm actually just going to drop the Y and the Z. So that's going to give me X is equal to -2. Write it as a triple. And then we'll plot that in a minute. Y-intercept. The only thing that's still going to be around is the Y. and the constant on the other side. So it looks like y is going to be -1. Write it as a triple. And then the last one for the z-intercept. The only thing that's still going to be there is the z. So it looks like we get z equals 4. So that ordered triple is 0, 0, 4. All right, let's go ahead and plot these. Oh, we need to figure out where the axes are going to go. Let's see. I need to go negative in the x direction, so need more space on the right-hand side. I need to go negative in the y direction, which means I need some space on the left-hand side, and then I just need to be able to go straight up. All right, I think I'm just going to put it here and hope that that works. Again, you can always move it if you have to, just fine. Okay, these are our positive. Oh, you can also see on the previous slide, the little snapshot that I brought over from Desmos, they actually have the positive x and the negative x, positive y, positive z, negative z. So we're going to go -2 in the x direction. So -2 x direction. And then we need to go negative what? Remember, we're starting from the origin because these are all intercepts. -1 in the y direction. And then we need to go +4 in the z direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead and connect those. Again, that's just a section of the plane. So let's take a look at what this thing actually looks like from Desmos. Okay, so from Desmos, you can actually see the little triangle in there. So if we were to connect the red dots, there's that little triangle section that we have, but the red is a larger image of the plane that's actually coming through. And that should do it for this first set of notes for Chapter 11.